I wanted to talk on this subject because, well, it's a topic, and I am very um relatable to this. Um, Creativity, where does it come from? Do you have it? And the short answer is yes. Um, Everybody is creative in their own ways. Some write poems, some do YouTube videos, some build things, some like to garden, some like to make clothes, some like to. Everything is you're creating everything. You create that, and so a lot of people put that off, and they say, "Oh well, I can never, do this or that or the other." Yeah, you can. If you have the will and the knowledge, and you want to get the knowledge, you do it somehow, some way. It comes to you. I speak from experience because I do create things, and creating things are what I do for fun. I like doing them. I like, as y'all see, my poems and the things of the is I create things, and they wind up being stories in my poems. A lot of my stuff, that's just the way it goes. Um, People build cars. That's creativity. uh, you know, Taking something that is somebody else's and improving on it, or sometimes giving it your own twist. That's part of being creativity. Um, and from my years of understanding things is, um, I'll make, for instance, my kids. Um, I've got one that loves stuff, and he does really well. I have my youngest girl. She loves music and art, and she loves it. And then I have my oldest son. Um, he We didn't really know how he was going to turn out, and he just kept saying, "I'm not going to go to college. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that." And he graduated, and we knew of one thing: he was got accepted to be a choir teacher. Well, we didn't know that he was gonna go for choir teacher and an English teacher. And he corrects me all the time on my grammar, and he reminds me of my aunt so much with that. Um, but that's the thing, is creativity. That's what uh, drives a lot of people. People want to change. Uh, People change things. Hang on just a second. Give me 1 second, guys. Um, but yeah, that's the way things go. Creativity comes in different forms, different places, different avenues. And obviously, if you're on YouTube, you are watching people create all the time. And a lot of people, like me, for instance, it took me a long time to kind of figure out where I fit in this world, because, but what I've understood is my creativity comes from my experience in life, and it lets me have an out, lets me have something that I can tangibly feel. Creativity does therapeutic things for us. Um, for instance, my mom, she could, she colored amazing. I mean, amazing. and I learned some of my techniques when I do color or paint from her. Um, she colored within the lines. She made it look really cool, and she would take a picture and color uh, a cow blue, or but her coloring was just phenomenal. She did puzzles. She could do a puzzle. Probably, I saw her one time do a 15,000 piece puzzle in less than 4 hours. Where that same puzzle would have took me forever. That's just the way I am. Uh, my aunt, like I think I brought this up the other day. Um, she would during Christmas time. One of her side hustles was she made these books. She'd go get old books and spray paint them and put pine cones and glitter, and she'd sell them. I'm surprised that I haven't found one in the house or out in the shop, or because she used to do them all the time. Um, but that creativity is you need it. You need if you create and you need to do it, you do it. Um, there's people that they my Neshoba, my cousin, uh, he he's enrolled in the tribe, but he makes tomahawks and drums, and uh, he felt like he was kind of betraying um, his art because he started selling it. But you know, he, he, and it's really difficult to. I mean, I have four things that I want to sell, but I haven't sold them yet because, for one, people don't have asked me about them, and they're like, "Oh, that's due." And but it's my art, and the thing of it is my time is worth more than you know. I go and source everything if it's my lamps. I literally go out and pick the trees and take them. I mean, if I try my best to get older trees and the branches closer to the ground. I try not to cut the whole tree because I do cedar. So I mean I try not to try to take I try to shape the tree as I'm doing it. Uh, but one time I did get myself in trouble and I felt kind of bad because I did I didn't realize I was cutting down the whole tree. I thought I was cutting down a branch and wound up being the whole tree, which but there, I mean, there was others, but like I said, me being as native as I feel I am, I felt kind of bad, and I was like, oh, but then I was like, you know what? You, anybody of y'all know natives? We always ask permission before we do anything with when it comes to Mother Earth. And kind of had to ask for forgiveness, for it. But that's just the way it is. People think, and I've come across people they don't take the reverence of it. Uh, I do, and so does my cousin. Um, but that is just part of the whole ordeal of everything. But that's creativity does that. You have to know where it comes from, but you have to know what it is and how to harness it. Um, for instance, with my poems, they take a lot out of me, and when I'm voice over them for them, I'm like, okay, that sounds good, but I go back and I'm like, I need to tweak this. That's just that comes with it. People ask me, how do I get on YouTube and talk? And sometimes I'm a lot. more droggier than I am, on certain days because it's just my meds. Uh, and a lot of people's like, well, you have a distinct sound. Yes, I have that too. Then on top of um, no teeth, that really gets my uh, my lisp and stuff goes kind of haywire on that. I'm hoping to get some new teeth in my mouth eventually. Um, but that's the thing is we we have, and if you say, "Oh, I don't know how to create," I'm pretty sure you do create things. You just don't know it, and you don't look at it as creativity. Um, I've watched. I mean, I watched so many YouTube channels, but um, I would. I may put a link after I get after this. Gets set to a guy that I listen to all the time. Um, and he talks about creativity. Um, I sit and watch other people's YouTubes, and I watch their lives, how they do them, what their personality is, and how can I make that something I can use. And that's the thing is, I want people to be able to say, you know, thank you for helping me come out of my shell. Um, for instance, I did Facebook lives all the time. I used to all the time, and it was for my immediate family that I had found. And if some of y'all will say, "Well, he's only been making," I've got, I've got, excuse me, 70 videos, and I've got 80 subs. I'm trying to hit 100 subs and 100 channels, or excuse me, videos by the end of the year. Um, and I'm trying to do, that's my goal. Um, you know, that's what I'm trying for. Um, there's just so much back. Um, there's people that I want to collaborate really bad with. Um, and there's people that you may not realize that you have something in common with them, but you do, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that. And that's part of that whole learning thing. Hang on, guys, my cat wants up here. Come on, Patch. Hang on, everybody. Patches, Patch. Hey, Patches, up here. That's Patches, everybody. Um, but that's the thing is, we all have that kind of thing. Uh, I enjoy my animals. I've got three inside cat. Well, excuse me, two inside cats. One that likes to go outside all the time, and then we have Patches. She likes to go out, but only if we're out with her. And then we have one that she's kind of the roost ruler. And then if she goes outside, she's automatically attacking the outside cats, and she's not. Her name is Sister Abigail, and there's a reason we named her that. Um, but um, you know, I want to especially speak to people that may be a little younger than I am. Uh, Guys, look, if I had some things to do over again, I probably would have tried to find my passion younger in age. Um, you know, it it's kind of one of those things that you don't know until you know, and if I would have opened my mind when I was younger and did what I really wanted to do, I probably would have. It probably wouldn't have took me so long. Uh, like I said, I was in theater. I didn't like debate, but I liked theater. My theater was my thing. People that I would get up on the stage. I've said this story before, but I did a lot of ad lib stuff because um, I could. I've never been good at memorizing anything. Never been good at memorizing things, even though there's some things that I remember and I don't know how I remember it, but I do. But I would get on. They would get me on stage just for me to ad lib everything. And I guess that's kind of why I do my YouTube videos like I do. I hate writing scripts. I hate, but I poems I love doing. They just come to me, my ideas. But you know, I wish I would have sat because I knew I was a tinkerer, and I should have told my theater teacher, "Hey, I'll build the sets, or will you let me build the sets?" And I probably would have been great with that. Some of y'all probably know of Adam Savage. I absolutely love that man. I absolutely love that man. Uh, and what I would do to be in that space. Um, you know, I would love to learn that when I was younger. But, I worked, I had to do things differently. And I'm trying to put that in my kids' minds too. Uh, I've my youngest son. Uh, he's like, Dad, Mom wants me to be a doctor, and I said, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, I would like to do engineering or art, and I'm like, well, engineering is art, and you are good at drawing too. So, and I support it 100%. Uh, his mom wants him to be a doctor, and I don't think he. And that's what I always thought he would be a doctor, but the way he talks, if he doesn't want to be a doctor, he don't have to be a doctor, and I've told him that. Stacy, my girl, she wants to be a truck driver, and I'm like, and she's like, well, what do you? I was like, you have to know how to drive, and then you have to. She's like, well, do you got to go to college? She's like, it says I need to have a high school diploma. I said, yeah, but then you have to get your CDL. You have to a lot of times, and then I'm like, and then you're gone all the time, especially if you're working for somebody. And she's like, well, I could see everything travel. I'm like, well, that's true too. I said, but and she's not really sensitive. Um, she can be really sensitive. I'm like, you go on the road with, you're gonna have to be pretty strong cookie to level up on the men there. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, you're just gonna have to be strong minded. And she's like, well, and I'm like, well, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, then do it. I said, but here's the funny thing is, you're good at, singing and stuff like that. You could go on the road and sing at the same time. I mean, and she's like, you can have more than one job. And I'm like, you can have as many jobs as you want. And see, that's another thing is I cut my teeth in food. And I used to think I should be a cook or a chef or, guys, I respect that art, but it made me mad on a lot of things. It really did. I would, I just, I don't know what it was about the atmosphere. And I worked at Chick-fil-A. Good Lord. I could imagine me being, because I wanted to go up in corporate with it. But, now that I'm the way I am now, I wouldn't have made it. I don't know how that would have turned out because here I am now out as an atheist. I mean, how would that affected my career there? I don't know. Maybe out of the, but guys, if you enjoy food and to me, I enjoy food. I love eating it. I like cooking it. I like, but I think it's more of the people that work it. I mean, I understand some are really passionate, really, but there's a lot of people that are just they're rude. And it's not just the employees; it's the customers, and you know, if I go into a restaurant and I can feel the atmosphere, but it's just one of those things. I don't know if I could. I mean, I worked in the kitchen of the hospital, and I was leading. I was doing things to get out of that situation of it, and it just fell through. Which I there again, I repaired. I was the utility, so I did everything but cook, like fix things, clean things. People left me alone, and that's just the way I was. Uh, if something broke, hey, do you know how to fix this? No, but let me get done doing this, and I'll go look at that. And I learned quite a bit. Uh, I used to want to do HVAC stuff, and I am so glad I didn't because this heat now, I can barely stand it. And if you're into AC stuff, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be in this, close you know, to the equator, you know, where it stays warm quite a bit in East Texas. But I know that the further south, the wages go up on that. But then you're crawling into attics and below or under houses. No, I'm good. I don't. I mean, I was looking at it as a trade, uh, and then I tried to go to school right after I came back to the Navy, and I did multimedia publishing. And well, I'm doing this on YouTube. I have no formal training on it because I dropped out of school. Um, and I wanted to do cartoons and do stuff. And look, now I'm writing poems, and I'm I'm building this brand. I'm building what I want to do. Uh, that's just part of it too. So that's in a nutshell of things. And some of the best teaching is you just doing it on your own. When I was in high school, part of I did telecommunications and networking, which we were the first. Our grade was the first to run a lot of um, set up the computers and the internet. Run the wires and stuff like that. And I built one computer, and I didn't really take it seriously. We have one of my classmates. He actually is classified with the U.S. Navy, and but he was the brains, and he was like, "Watch this," and he streamed some stuff across every computer, and he did it because he could. Um, but um, yeah, I mean, but he's. I understand the situation. Uh, But that's the thing is like, but when I built a computer, I fried one. I didn't know where I was plugging stuff. I just plugged stuff in, and it was an older computer. It was just that we were just tinkering around. Um, but that's what I did. And lo and behold, I'm 41 now, and I'm now starting to understand the ins and outs of this stuff and learn the ins and outs of YouTube and trying to figure out how to make a way to, bring things to people. That's part of creativity. And, people are going to like your stuff. There's going to be people who don't like your stuff. Um, and, like I say in my intros all the time, you can like me, you can dislike me, you can share, you can write comments, and it's the truth. I mean, you can tell me things that you don't like or you like, but in the long run, it's still up to me. It's still up to me to be creative and be relevant and to and guys, I don't want to sound boastful, but or rude or big head, but you you have to you have to sometimes do stuff that you want to do, that you want to do, and you can't sit there and just think, I'm going to please everybody, or I'm going to just please these people, or I'm just going to not include these people. But guess what? The people that you include or disclude, they're still going to come around, and they they may say hateful stuff about me. They may praise me. They may, whatever, and that's that's fine. Technically, that's creativity. So you know, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have they have a YouTube handle, they have a channel, and they've had one for years. There's no subs, there's no nothing. They just get on there and watch. That's fine. Um, I mean, there's subscribers that I don't know that they're subscribed to me or not. I know. I mean, I have the ones that are visible, but there's ones that it don't show because they don't have their stuff visible. There's there's 70 or 80 subs. Sorry, 80 subs. I don't know all of them. There's a few that are that pop up on there because they're available. The other ones I don't know. I don't know who you are, and that's okay. That's okay. Um, I'm sub to a lot of people, and the reason I am is because I just sponge. I learn things. I watch people build cob houses, and I bring that into the things I make. I make a minute. I mean, I'm making a miniature fairy. It's not too miniature now, but I use a lot of those techniques that they show me on a full size house. I do. Uh, I watch other creators on. I watch people that work on cars. I listen to people that read religious stuff. I That's just who I am. Uh, and for the longest time, I kind of felt like I was a fish out of water in this world. But you have to go with it. Um, a lot of the times, I'm in pain, and the pain comes, and I I have to re. Some of y'all will see that I post. I'll do a live show here, or I haven't done one in the studio in a while because, well, I'm working on this big fairy garden, which I'm gonna be wrapping it up. Pretty well. I'm getting to a point to where I need some other things that go with it. Um, so I may be putting that somewhere. Um, I don't know. I'm getting really close into putting it all together, but and y'all will see that, and it will be in my videos. It will my storyline will be with it. Because actually I've always wanted to build a diorama. Well, then I got into these fairy guards, and then I got into my poems and stuff like that, and it kind of flows with it. But anyway, guys, I wanted to talk about creativity. If you liked it, do whatever you need to do. Guys, y'all have a good, excuse me, y'all have a good weekend because it's Friday. And I may pop on, I may not, I got a couple things in the oven right now. But anyway, guys, I will talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good one. Take care of yourself. Be nice. Do all that kind of stuff. I will see y'all later.